The text from my mother arrived at 2:47 p.m. on a Thursday. So proud of Melissa. She secured financing for her wellness center. Family dinner Sunday to celebrate. I was in a deposition for a medical malpractice case. I'm a healthcare attorney, the work requires focus. So I didn't check the message until the lunch break at 4:15. Even then, it didn't register as urgent until I saw the photo Mom had attached. Melissa at a closing table holding an oversized novelty check made out for $900,000, surrounded by our parents and her business partner, everyone beaming. The background showed a Cascade Title Company conference room. My stomach dropped before my brain caught up to why. I excused myself from the deposition, stepped into the hallway and called Melissa. Voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. I texted, "What financing? What did you close today?" 3 dancing dots appeared, then disappeared, then reappeared. Finally, "Can't talk now at celebration dinner. We'll call you tomorrow." "What did you close?" No response. I called Cascade Title directly. The receptionist transferred me to the closing officer, a woman named Patricia Voss who sounded harried and ready to leave for the day. "Ms. Voss, my name is Catherine Brennan. I believe my sister Melissa Brennan just closed some kind of loan with your office today. Can you tell me what property was used as collateral?" "I can't discuss client transactions without authorization, Ms. Brennan. The property is 2847 Shoreline Drive in Seabrook. If that's the collateral, I need to know immediately because I'm the sole owner and I didn't authorize any mortgage." Silence. Then, "Hold please." The hold music lasted 93 seconds. When Patricia returned, her voice had shifted from harried to carefully controlled. "Ms. Brennan, what's your relationship to the property at 2847 Shoreline?" "I inherited it from my grandmother 18 months ago. Sole heir, sole owner." "Why? And you didn't sign any mortgage documents today?" "I'm in Portland at a deposition. I haven't signed anything." "Patricia, what happened?" "Ms. Brennan, I need you to come to our office first thing tomorrow morning. Bring proof of ownership. The original deed, any title insurance documents, anything that establishes your sole ownership. We may have a significant problem." I drove to Seattle at 6 a.m. Friday morning, the original deed and title insurance policy on the passenger seat beside my litigation bag. By 8:30 I was sitting across from Patricia Voss and Cascade Title's senior legal counsel, James Morton, in a conference room that still smelled faintly of yesterday's champagne celebration. "Walk me through what happened," I said. Patricia opened a thick file. "Your sister Melissa came to us 6 weeks ago with a business loan application. She needed $900,000 to launch a wellness center, combination yoga studio, holistic health clinic and meditation retreat. She presented the Seabrook Beach house as collateral, with documentation showing she's a 50% co-owner. I'm the sole owner. My grandmother's will was crystal clear. We conducted standard title research," James said carefully. "We found a deed recorded 14 months ago transferring 50% ownership from you to Melissa Brennan. Notarized, recorded with the county, completely standard. Based on that deed, Melissa had the legal right to mortgage her 50% interest." He slid a document across the table. I stared at my own signature, except it wasn't my signature. It was close, eerily close, but the K in Catherine had a loop I never make and the B in Brennan was too angular. "This is forged," I said flatly. "I never signed this. I never transferred any ownership to Melissa." "That's what we're beginning to suspect," Patricia said. "After you called yesterday, I pulled the complete title history. Ms. Brennan, there are 8 separate deed recordings over the past 14 months, all transferring various percentages of ownership between you and your sister, creating a paper trail that suggests shared ownership and joint decision-making. 8 forged deeds. If they're all forged, yes. But it gets worse." James pulled out another document. 2 months ago, someone filed coastal development permits in your name for commercial renovation of the property. The permits reference the beach house being converted to a wellness center, with supporting documentation showing both you and Melissa as co-applicants. I felt cold spreading through my chest. The house is in a protected coastal zone. Any commercial development requires environmental impact studies, coastal commission approval, all of which were filed, James finished. With forged signatures, we're now assuming someone created an entire false narrative. You and Melissa jointly inherited the property. You both agreed to convert it to commercial use. You both applied for permits and financing together. Melissa did this. We can't prove that yet. But Ms. Brennan, the mortgage funded yesterday. $900,000 was wired to an account in Melissa's name. If this is fraud, we're looking at a very complicated legal situation. I called my law firm's white-collar crime specialist from the parking garage. By noon, I had a criminal defense attorney, a forensic document examiner, and a very concerned FBI agent reviewing the case. By 3 p.m., we'd filed an emergency injunction freezing the mortgage proceeds and demanding Melissa's presence at a hearing Monday morning. By 6 p.m., Melissa was calling me 17 times in a row. I answered on the 18th call. Catherine, what the hell did you do? The bank froze everything. What did I do? Melissa, you forged 8 deeds and mortgaged my house without permission. It's our house. Grandma left it to both of us. She left it to me. Only me. The will is explicit. You know this because you contested it and lost. Silence. Then quieter. Grandma was senile when she made that will. She didn't understand what she was signing. That house should have been split between us. So you forged documents to create the ownership structure you thought was fair? Melissa, that's fraud. That's bank fraud, that's forgery, that's probably a dozen other crimes. I was correcting an injustice. You got everything. The house, Grandma's savings, her jewelry, while I got nothing because Grandma was manipulated into thinking you were the responsible one. I was just taking what should have been mine from the beginning. By committing felonies. By funding a business that will help people. My wellness center is going to serve the community, provide jobs, offer healing. With $900,000 you stole using forged documents and my property as collateral. Her voice turned cold. I have a lawyer too, Catherine. You're not the only one who understands legal strategy. My attorney says possession is 9/10 of the law, and I've been using that house for business planning for 6 months. I have utility bills in my name, mail delivered there, witnesses who can testify I've been the primary occupant. Using a property doesn't make you the owner, Melissa. Jesus, you're an attorney's nightmare right now. Stop talking and hire a criminal defense lawyer. I hung up. The emergency hearing Monday morning was brief and devastating. The judge reviewed the forensic document examiner's report. All 8 deeds had signatures that failed basic authenticity testing. The notary whose seal appeared on 6 of the documents had her license suspended 2 years ago and denied ever notarizing anything for Melissa. The coastal permits had been filed using a forged power of attorney. Melissa's civil attorney tried to argue the case should be handled privately, that family matters shouldn't involve courts. The judge was unmoved. Ms. Brennan fraudulently created property ownership through forged documents, then used that false ownership to secure a $900,000 mortgage. This isn't a family dispute. This is bank fraud. He granted the injunction, froze the mortgage proceeds, and referred the case to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Melissa stood up, her face flushed. Your Honor, my sister has always been jealous of my success. Sit down, Ms. Brennan, or I'll hold you in contempt. She sat. But the rage in her eyes was unmistakable. The federal investigation moved faster than I expected. Within 2 weeks, they'd uncovered the full scope. Melissa hadn't just forged deeds, she'd created an entire false corporate structure. A shell LLC in both our names. Fake operating agreements. Fraudulent tax filings showing shared business income. She'd built a parallel reality where we were business partners, had always been business partners, and the beach house was our joint commercial property. She's been planning this for over a year, the FBI agent told me. The first forged deed was filed 10 months before she approached the bank. She was building a paper trail, establishing a pattern that would pass surface-level due diligence. How did she know how to do this? Your sister has worked in real estate development for 8 years. She understands title searches, deed recordings, corporate structures. He's smart, Ms. Brennan. This wasn't impulsive fraud. This was premeditated, sophisticated fraud. The U.S. attorney offered a plea deal. 5 years federal prison, full restitution, permanent ban from real estate transactions. Melissa refused. She maintained that Grandma's will was invalid, that the house should have been joint property, that she was correcting a legal injustice. Her criminal trial began 4 months later. I sat in the gallery and watched prosecutors dismantle her defense with methodical precision. The forged signatures, the fake notarizations, the shell company, the false permit applications. Witness after witness confirming Melissa had sole control of the mortgage proceeds, had never discussed the beach house with me, had systematically created a false ownership structure. On day 3, the prosecutor called me to testify. Ms. Brennan, did you at any point transfer ownership of the Seabrook property to your sister? No. Did you co-sign mortgage documents for a $900,000 loan? No. Did you authorize your sister to use the property as collateral for any loan? No. Did you discuss converting the beach house into a commercial wellness center? Never. I didn't even know she was planning a wellness center until after the mortgage closed. Melissa's attorney tried to paint me as vindictive, jealous of her entrepreneurial spirit, resentful of her success. But the forged documents spoke louder than character assassination. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty on all counts: bank fraud, wire fraud, forgery, identity theft. Sentencing came 3 weeks later. 7 years federal prison. $900,000 restitution plus legal fees. The judge was blunt. You didn't just forge documents, Ms. Brennan. You created an elaborate false reality to defraud a financial institution and steal from your sister. This was calculated, sophisticated criminal behavior. That was 11 months ago. The beach house is still mine, though it took 8 months and $70,000 in legal fees to clear the fraudulent title claims and restore clean ownership. Cascade Title's insurance covered most of their losses, but they've implemented new verification procedures for family co-ownership claims. My parents are devastated. Mom keeps asking if I'll visit Melissa in federal prison. I won't. Dad sold their house to contribute to restitution payments. Melissa can't possibly pay $900,000 from prison wages, but he's trying to make things right with victims. I haven't been back to the beach house since before the fraud. It sits empty, beautiful, overlooking the Pacific. Sometimes I think about selling it. The property is worth $2.3 million now, enough to make all this chaos feel financially worth it. But that feels like letting Melissa's fraud win somehow, like admitting the house was just an asset to liquidate rather than Grandma's gift to me. Last week I got a letter from Melissa. 5 pages of small handwriting explaining how Grandma's will was unfair, how I stole her inheritance, how she was forced to forge documents because I refused to share. Not one word of apology. Not one acknowledgement that fraud is fraud regardless of whether you think you deserve what you're stealing. I didn't respond. Her counselor has my contact information if needed. That's sufficient. The beach house still stands on the coast, title clear, ownership unchallenged. Grandma left it to me because she trusted me with it. Melissa saw that trust as theft. She's serving 7 years for trying to steal what was never hers. I'm learning to live with being the sister who sent her sister to prison for fraud. Some days that feels like justice. Some days it just feels heavy. But the house is still mine and the truth is still true, and sometimes that has to be enough.